Hey, did you call for me? Oh, have a seat, Scott. Got some things to discuss with you today. I'm sure. What's this all about? So, we noticed you always rave about QWERTY keys keyboards. We need you to stop that. Huh? But I only state the facts. If it's good, I say it's good. If it's bad, I say it's... But... I do the talking here. You said too many good things. So now we just need you to say some bad things. You know, for legal reasons. I don't understand why I have to. Just shut up, Scott. Just say some bad things, okay? Jeez, how does anyone work with this guy? This is the Neo 80. The black finish smudges very easily. It looks dirty. The bags that the parts came in, absolutely worst bags I have seen. It refuses to cooperate. Horrible. This keyboard is too easy to build. Took away my sense of accomplishment. And why is there a pack of foam that you don't even need? It probably killed at least 4 sea turtles. Terrible. Welcome back to the channel, guys. This is Scott K. You know, before we start, you have to listen to this. Like, come on, that spacebar, that comes from a keyboard that starts at $110. What the heck is going on right now? Yes, I know. I think so far, I haven't not recommended a single product from QWERTY Keys that I've reviewed yet. And yes, I know this is a Neo series keyboard, but you know, it's still QWERTY Keys, right? But I can assure you, if it was a bad board, I would just say that, or just won't even review it. So reluctantly, against the best wishes from my legal team, I don't really have a legal department, I would say that this is probably the near perfect keyboard you could buy right now, especially at this price point. Why? Well, that's what this video is all about, right? So let's get started. So obviously there are many things that makes a keyboard good or close to perfect. Overall, I think I could probably narrow it down to maybe like top 3 things that matter the most that you should probably consider. Firstly, I would say that it needs to be good at being a keyboard, right? That's why you bought this thing, which is like the basics. Typing sound, feel, comfort. So the Neo 80 absolutely crushes it here. Let's start with the comfort and feel. First of all, the case height on this feels very optimal without being like too tall or shallow or flat or anything like that. 6.5-degree typing angle as well. You may be aware, but the Neo literally comes in like 4 different mounting options. It has 2 gasket styles, to an O-ring, to this like standoff hard mount they call sandwich, but I don't think that's what it is. And regardless which mounting style you use, regardless of which plate you use, or plateless if you don't want to use it, the Neo 80 has that nice damp and give, soft yet lively. It's not hard, it's not mushy either. Even the carbon fiber plate on the hard brass mounts, they have give. Now, the sound. Before I say anything, just listen to these different mountings, styles, and combos. So the amazing thing about this overall is that with the exclusion of maybe the palm plate build that I did, I decided to skip using any of the standard foams or any of the sound modifying P foams or anything like that. This is keyboard, it's like stock. The palm plate build, it has just a plate foam in it because I personally hate trying to put switches into like soft plates with no support. So yeah, sorry, that's just me. The case has like the right amount of resonance. It helps to like sound open with a nice presence. Yet at the same time, it doesn't like ping or it doesn't sound hollow. It's a good balance so that you don't have like a dead sounding keyboard, right? We don't really want that. The gasket build has, in my opinion, the highest pitch sound, but it's also the most energetic. While like the hard brass standoffs they sound very similar to a top mount in my opinion, and it's also the deepest. The O-ring mount is somewhere in the middle. In my opinion, I would say my favorite, it comes from like the gasket mounting, right? I like that energy. Then the hard brass mount comes second, and finally the O-ring. I thought I would like the O-ring more, but compared to the other two, it didn't really stand out as much, right? But they all have a very distinct sound signature, which I find fantastic, right? You get one keyboard with 3 different sound potentials. Honestly, I truly enjoy the sounds that this keyboard produces, so I'm happy with that. And I like it much more than the Neo 65 that I reviewed sometime last year. Oh, also, check this. Before I move on, all the builds and sound tests, they come from a new ball bearing switch from KBDFans. This is like kind of crazy. Yeah, these are called roller linears, and they have 8 ball bearings per each switch. And as you expect, they are smooth. They sound amazingly poppy, and even stock, they feel and sound like they were a hand-looped switch. Honestly, I didn't know what to like expect going into this, but I was pleasantly pretty surprised at this thing. And let me know, so like if you're interested in this switch more in the comments below, and maybe I could actually cover it more thoroughly in the future. Now, the second item that matters, it's the features and innovations, right? It's 2024, that matters. I mentioned that this keyboard is too easy to build. Honestly, like it's probably the fastest keyboard you could assemble and disassemble. Why? Because, check this out. Like some other keyboards these days, it features this ball catch mechanism, right? Super easy to engage and disengage, but it's firm enough that it feels solid. You saw this before on like the QK75N before as well, but Swagkeys decided to use this magnetic quick connection into the Neo 80 also. You literally just like drop the PCB in and then the 2 connections stick together and then makes the connection. The 2 features that makes this keyboard almost too easy. Swapping out different mounts, it just takes seconds, literally. And in addition, the magnetic connection, it like helps to consolidate the daughter board and the battery connectors and everything else. So you don't even have multiple like connectors or ribbon cables like running around all over the place, right? Cable management's great, nothing is kind of bumping into each other. It's just too easy. I also have to point this out. So if you take a look at the PCB, QK took a strategic approach to where like the PCB mounting points are, like not putting one around the spacebar. This way, they're able to create a more even typing feel and create that poppy, light spacebar sound that you heard in the sound test and in the beginning. And yes, it's 2024 again, and the PCB is programmable. You've heard it before, but yes, this keyboard, it can mount 4 different ways, right? There aren't that many keyboards that can do something this many, right? Maybe 1 or 2 or 3. On top of that, each mounting style, it sounds and feels different and has its own appeal. Now, finally, I know this may be a bit subjective, but it's the design. Why is that important? Well, because if a keyboard does everything well, but it's ugly, you might hesitate on buying it. Also, if it's too polarizing, some people are like, not for me. Overall, the Neo 80, it's not an embellished keyboard, right? It's definitely not like the Freya that I took a look, sometime recently. The approach they took here is it's a more minimal one with some nice details. Like the fact that they're on like sharp corners or simple straight lines, it adds a little bit of character to the overall case. And the case in point are the sides, the front, the back, where it has enough curvature to keep things interesting without like overdoing it. When you take a look at the bottom, mine has a copper weight. It sits so minimally right in the center and to the top, adding weight and visual distinction without like standing out too much. No big logos or anything like that. This is a handsome keyboard, not so much in like a bling bling in your face kind of way, but rather very understated. Instead of like crazy RGB lights everywhere, you got this nice little circular light tower thing that adds like the right amount of pop of color. For my build, instead of going with like some loud and bright keycaps, I mean it's a black case also, I decided to play off like the understated handsomeness of the Neo 80 and threw on a set of PBT Fans Purpolch. Mostly business, but with a little bit of play thanks to like the purple accents. Still one of my favorite PBT Fans sets, so you know what? I think it works well. Okay, now, all this is great and all, but what really cinched the deal for me to say that this is nearly perfect, honestly, it's the price. This thing starts at $110, and even with like the options that I have, which includes everything like the copper weight, the tri-mode wireless PCB, the carbon fiber or the palm plate, you're looking at around $150 and $155. For a phenomenal TKL like this, that is absolutely worth it. So yes, once again, I decided to rave on another QWERTY Neo board. But honestly, check out one of these, and if you hate it, I don't even know. There's probably a chance that you may hate most other mechanical keyboards also. Because this thing is pretty much getting close to that perfection bar up there, especially if you consider its pricing. I mean, if it was like $1,000, it might be a different story. But all things considered, I'm not sure if there's many other boards out there that will beat this in terms of like its performance, the value, the sound, the feel, especially in like those areas that I covered. Plus, the fact that QK develops the Neo series to be used without foam, they had to really work on the case acoustics to get like everything right. The foam is now just there to kind of like shape the sound, and it's not a necessity, which is great. That's a trend I've seen more and more. As someone with an engineering background, I do appreciate the thought behind some of these details. Someone there somewhere had to work really hard to make this happen, and that's something I do have to recognize. So I hope this video gave you a good sense of what this Neo 80 is all about, and at the end of the day, it's your money and you decide whether QK deserves to earn it or not. Alright, I'll see you on the next one.